Hey Cancer, I've just gotten back from the beach. Very Cancerian environment, very moony. And I actually had a very odd morning. I won't get into it in this video, but maybe in another video. I've already shuffled your cards. I just laid them out, so we can just go ahead and get into your reading. Still using the Thoth deck today. So yeah, let's get into it. I am recording this just before the moon is conjoining Mars in Gemini. She's kind of in between Jupiter and Mars at this moment, probably like 2 or 3 degrees away from perfection with Mars. Forming a loose square with Venus in Virgo right now. And then Mercury is also going to be stationing direct sometime tomorrow. So kind of an interesting little window of time that I'm choosing to do these readings, but we'll see what kind of messages come through. Right off the bat, as your significator, I have the Star card, Aquarius. Looking at it, it's interesting that this particular image of the card has the moon behind her. Because this to me is like a moon transit conjoining with like a fixed star. Like you see that star right up here in the corner. I don't remember which particular lunar mansion the moon is in at this moment in time. I can kind of Mrigashirsha, so the deer's head. At this particular point in time, I'm almost getting the sense that this is telling you to pay attention to where your significator is, where the moon is, and what the moon is doing. The fact that I even emphasized that she's approaching a conjunction with Mars today, and that she's like, loosely squaring Venus and activating this particular part of the chart, I think is something that could be helpful for you to incorporate into your own daily practice, just to kind of get a sense of where you are. I think most of us would benefit from paying attention to the moon on a day-to-day basis, and I'll make separate videos talking about how we can do that eventually at some point in the future. But for you, it's like identifying where the energy is flowing from and how it's what form it's taking. Like the moon as like a transducer. I don't even think that's the word I'm looking for, but it's the one that popped into my head. A sort of vessel for the energy, the cosmic celestial energy that comes from the fixed stars, and identifying how that's radiating out into the world, us on the world below. So maybe something with regards to paying more attention to that. Maybe you're paying more attention to these sorts of things, or you're learning about these sorts of things. On another level, it could also be that you're in a space of identifying your aims. Because the star can also be like a specific goal or a person or like a point in your life that you're focusing a lot of your attention on, a lot of your manifesting energy or effort is being put in this particular direction. Your own pole star, so to speak, your own Polaris. And with the fact that we have the 10 of coins covering that in reverse, that is that last deck in a Virgo, and that's exactly where Venus is right now. So definitely paying attention to the celestial movements and trying to kind of find your window within them to manifest something or to work towards something. Understanding that certain moments have more potential opportunity than others, Could also be that you're trying to manifest money, and maybe using some less than conventional methods to do so, like visualization practices or astrological magic, or even just spell work in general, maybe meditation or chanting, writing things down. Like I feel like there's an emphasis on material, on being well-to-do materially. Like maybe that's a goal of yours, or maybe it's actually an obstacle that's keeping you from focusing on the thing that you want to focus on. Crossing you, we have the Princess of Swords, mutable air. This to me is definitely activating that Gemini part of your chart, Gemini being your 12th house. Take a look at your chart and see if there's anything there currently that's being toyed around with the Jupiter and Mars exchange that's happening, and for today, the Moon co-presence. But the Princess of Swords crossing these energies, whether this represents a figure outside of yourself or maybe an aspect of yourself, it's like somebody taking initiative, somebody trying to direct the flow of energy, in such a way that it bypasses this, if it's an obstacle, this 10 of coins. Like if there's some sort of material lack that's getting in the way of you. I heard providing as I'm looking at the star. I think that's an interesting thing. Like you're having trouble providing. And the moon as a provider rather than a transducer, that's interesting too, because the moon is like the archetypal mother, And what does a mother do? She provides nourishment for her offspring. So in one sense, it's like your offspring are your ideas or your plans, your goals, and you maybe are not feeling able to provide the nourishment required to bring those things to fruition or to a healthier state, a workable state, because of whatever this 10 of coins, I keep wanting to say 10 of wands, this 10 of coins influence. And maybe another message with this is just kind of paying attention to the celestial clock, paying attention to where the planets are and what parts of your chart are being activated, and what planets do what and what specific signs. Like right now, Venus in Virgo. Venus traditionally doesn't do all that well in Virgo. Mercury's sign by domicile. Venus can get kind of bogged down in details and I'm hearing paychecks, but that's not quite what I'm trying to get at. It's like whoever trying to personify this energy is like, I'm seeing the person who's like doing pay stubs for like a company and like making sure every employee is getting their appropriate share of profit. Like Venus in Virgo to me is very much like that person, providing the paychecks for everybody, but it's that very detailed process where it's like it's not even enjoyable, at least not conventionally. It's very meticulous, but the money is flowing that way. But I'm getting the sense, like, is it flowing again with that sense of like material lack, like something some form of nourishment isn't being provided that's needed. I'm not sure what that means exactly yet. So at the base of your reading, we have the 5 of discs in reverse. In this deck, that's called worry. So the 5 of discs is the first decan of fixed earth. So that's Taurus, first decan of Taurus. Just kind of look at that part of your chart and see if you've got anything there. Again, this is a Mercury ruled decan, so paying attention to where Mercury is at, currently 21 degrees of Leo, activating whatever house that is for you in your chart. It's a second sign from Cancer, so things revolving around money, abundance or lack thereof, nutrition, security, even values. And it's interesting that in this deck it's called worry. And that it's reversed. Because the way that the imagery is working out, you have the pentagram, but it's upright because the card is reversed. So it's like instead of things kind of flowing downward from top down, it's like from bottom down. Or at least the way that this card is oriented, it's the bottom. So for me, it's almost like not being receptive to things coming from the top down, so to speak. Like maybe if this is like a process of manifesting money or manifesting a career or something, it's like there's not a trust in the process. There's not a trust in the flow. Like, let's say the moon is shining down and providing this nectar, this substance that you can, if you were to put your mind to it, you could, grab a vessel of some sort and gather this nectar that's streaming down from the moon, from the cosmos. But it's like there's not a trust in that. Like, you have the vessel available to you and you could, but I almost feel like you're not worrying, but you're focused on something else and it's distracting you. Like you're focused on the minutia, the little things, like maybe that Venus accountant type energy that I was bringing up earlier. It's like you're getting lost in the numbers, lost in the numbers. Lost in the fragments is another thing. And losing sight of the broader picture and losing sight of where the blessing is coming in from. Whatever that means. Behind you we have the 8 of discs, Prudence. And the 8 is the first decan of mutable Earth, so first decan of Virgo. That's where the sun is today. I think the sun's like at 4 degrees of Virgo as I'm recording this. So Virgo season, we've already passed through the ingress point, and we're sort of entering into, at least in the northern hemisphere, the end of summer and nearing the autumnal equinox, the western equinox, the descending equinox. This is like the point where we're taking stock of what we've manifested in this half of the year, starting in the spring, so starting around March. Like maybe there's a project that came to a close for you around this time, and you're kind of evaluating the fruits of that. You're evaluating the harvest that came about as a result of whatever this project was. And maybe it didn't do as well as you wanted it to, just kind of judging based on how the initial portion of this reading went. It wasn't as successful, or it didn't provide quite the something that you wanted it to. But it's like it was a goal of yours. nonetheless, and it was something that you spent a lot of your time focused on. But like whatever this project was, if this is the way that it's taking form in your particular instance, like the sun being in that first decan of Virgo, you know, the sun rules that decan. So it's like, if this is a project that you finished, that you'd been working on, and it didn't quite end up with the result that you hoped for, it's like, let go of attachment to the result. Like, it was a goal of yours, you accomplished it, you did it, and regardless of how it's received at this point in time, like, you did that. You made this happen. You manifested this. You worked so hard to make this happen, and it happened. So maybe a little self-appreciation is in order, if that's relevant for you. You have the Queen of Cups crowning you, and she's reversed. And the Queen of Cups for me is very like Piscean, like mutable water. You know, familiar for Cancer, of course. But for me, right now, it's almost telling me like going past the surface, like deeper waters. Like whatever experience that you're having right now is surface level as far as your emotions are concerned. And maybe taking a few steps into the water, going a little bit deeper. Like I was at the beach today, and I have a new piercing, so I can't go into the ocean right now, but I was able to at least walk into it and get my feet in the water and enjoy the feeling of the waves kind of rushing over my feet and everything. But with this particular card, it's like I'm getting this image of somebody stepping further than I did, like past the shore and going out into the water to the point where your feet can't touch the bottom anymore, and then maybe even diving down and finding like a shell or something. It's like this shell has a message. The shell is the message. And shells to me always make me think of like the ears, of listening, because I mean, you know, hold up the shell to your ear and you hear the ocean, just because of the way that the sound waves interact with the shape of the shell. But it's like there's a message in deeper water for you. Like if you just go past the surface turbulence, you know, however the waves are looking, whatever the currents are doing up there because of the wind that's brushing against the surface, like that's cool and all, and it's valid, it's part of your experience, but the real jewel for you right now is below that in the subsurface currents. I'm hearing pay attention to your dreams. Like there's a message there, like that's definitely deeper water. You know, that's where the feelings and the thoughts that we don't really acknowledge in our waking life, that's where a lot of them come up to reach our attention. So maybe that's the shell, that's the message for you, is like it's going to be in your dreams. So pay more attention to them, write them down. If you're getting like impressions or feelings about something, like sit and think about them, reflect on them, and see what they mean for you. Just pay a little bit more attention to the more intuitive, I'm hearing prophetic side of your psyche, because it's going to help you bypass whatever you're stuck on and help you see this broader picture. Yeah, like before you, we have the Four of Coins. You know, that's the last decan of Cardinal Earth, last decan of Capricorn, And Capricorn is like the ultimate manifestation of our will in the world. Like it's the culmination of our material efforts. And the 4 is like the establishment of like a stable foundation, a stable ground. Like this goal of yours that you've been working towards, like maybe you finished and you get the sense that you're not finished. Like maybe that's what I was getting earlier with like the finished result didn't quite reach your expectation or something, and it didn't provide the fulfillment or the nourishment that you thought it would. And coming to this card, it's like maybe it's because it's not the end of the project. It's not the finished result. Like it's just a fragment. It's a piece of it. And you're getting too caught up in the pieces and not seeing the broader picture. So maybe trying to kind of zoom back a little bit and see how this piece fits into the larger picture of your life. And using that to help you establish a firm ground upon which you build up the rest of this vision. Because there's more to it. Like it's like an iceberg. There's more under the surface, touching those subsurface currents under the waves. So I'm kind of the mind that I'm going to start using this position of card as like representing your first house, so the self and where you're at with regards to the current energies. We've got the moon right here. That's your ruler. Like definitely that emphasis on your ruler, on the moon today. This is you really reflecting, no pun intended, on the qualities of the moon, on the moon's ability to be a receptacle for the light, for the energy that the cosmos radiates, and harnessing that energy and being a medium for that energy to manifest in the world, in this physical earth. Like the moon in traditional astrology is always like the mediator between the earth and the wider cosmos and all the rest of the planets and everything, because it is nearer to us than any of the other planetary or celestial bodies. It is very much like that I don't want to say filter, it's like the matrix within which the manifestation, the earthly manifestation, takes shape and everything. So really, really meditating on what that means for you and your particular experience. And honoring your own kind of inner rhythm. Like there's a time for initiating and for working and for building, but there's also a time for sitting back and replenishing your energy and resting and feeding yourself, drinking water, going to the beach and recharging, and sitting out in the sun or basking under the moonlight, maybe even setting your crystals out under the moon. But that sort of ebb and flow, like getting back into your own personal rhythm, because I feel like you were kind of thwarted out of your own rhythm, and for whatever reason I'm feeling like that's connected to this Princess of Swords here. Could be an air sign in your life, a Gemini, Libra, or an Aquarius that maybe this person belittled the project, whatever it is that this manifestation was, and made you feel like it wasn't enough. And if that's the case, although it's not really right what they said about it, it is a catalyst for you to pull back and see the bigger picture that I was talking about earlier. And to see how this thing is a piece in a larger a larger game. I was gonna say puzzle, but that wasn't quite right. Like, it's not a puzzle. It doesn't feel like it's a mystery. It doesn't feel like you're finding the pieces. It's more like you're creating them. For the people around you, I'm gonna consider this your 7th house. You know, self, and other. We have the Lover's card right here. So an exchange of ideas, some sort of alchemy between you and the people around you, or a particular person around you. Like, it could be that you're building the foundation of a commitment with somebody. This can be on any level, professional or romantic or otherwise. Like, the fact, with its proximity to this 4 of coins right here, this kind of foundational firmament card, I'm almost getting like this sort of ignition. Like, I'm seeing like a key being put into the car, and you know, turning the ignition and the engine starting. Like, whatever this exchange is, I feel like one part of this dynamic, whether it's you or this other person or these other people, are acting as that sort of ignition. You know, this initiator, like somebody who's infusing the engine with energy, and maybe helping to further this flow, this manifestation, whatever this project is. And it could also be connecting back to this Princess of Swords, because, you know, the Lovers is Gemini, so again, that kind of air sign emphasis there. Maybe this person that's crossing you, so to speak, is coming in with new ideas or a new perspective on what you've done. Just a new, I'm looking at this card as I'm saying that, like a new perspective. Like, it's upside down. Obviously this is air and this is water down here, but it's like the water is at the top when you flip it upside down. Like a new way of seeing your vision, and maybe you're taking that into consideration, and that's informing your process. I feel like I've been saying that a lot with the readings lately, like informing the process. And I don't know if that's like something that's relevant for the collective. Like, we're gathering data that's going to inform the process as it unfolds in the future. It just feels like very future oriented, and I mean, it makes sense. Mercury stationing direct tomorrow. The retrograde cycle is very much about like data, acquiring data, reevaluating, reconsidering, reflecting, maybe adjusting or revising plans, or maybe having come out the other end of finishing a project and realizing that, oh, you know, I could have done this a little bit different. I would have added this or that. But it's like, whatever was done is providing an opportunity for you to learn and improve. Okay. So for what I'm considering your 4th house, we have lust. This is card number, looks like 11 in this card, which is actually strength. I know some decks have 11 as justice, but for this particular deck, 8 and 11 are switched, so justice is 8 and strength is 11. So this is Leo. So again, that emphasis on where Mercury's at right now, but also take a look at what planets may be present there for you in your chart. But that being kind of like the base for your manifestation process here. It's like I'm hearing consolidation, and I'm like seeing somebody with like psychic abilities like pulling this rock armor onto themselves, like standing there, and the rocks are just like enclosing their skin, like almost like magnetic, like reinforcement. And with this, again, proximity to the 4 of coins right here, there's that emphasis on like consolidating, on laying down a foundation upon which, you know, the rest is built. And again, self-appreciation, like recognizing what it is that you've accomplished. And yeah, it might not be perfect, it might not be complete, but you've climbed a rung in some form. You've laid a brick, and you might have thousands more bricks to lay to finish this building, but you've laid the first one. You've started this process. The ball is rolling. The momentum is already, you know, at play. And you know, and when you think of lust, at least how it's being presented with these cards, there's an element of like self-control, could be self-denial, but this sort of theme of surmounting obstacles, this theme of really consolidating your awareness and your power in such a way that it can break through obstacles. And it's interesting that right here at this 10th house position, we'll see if I really like this layout, but this final outcome card for you is the Tower in reverse. But the way it's laid out, do you see how there's this kind of interaction between this eye right here and then this sort of radiant point? Almost looks like a tongue, or like the uvula, maybe like saliva or something. Obviously there's like erotic imagery with this particular card in this deck, but like this awareness represented by this eye here, this consolidated power and awareness, is what's going to correct the mistakes, or is what's going to relay the bricks. Like if we're going back to that house analogy, I mean, typically we see the Tower and we think of, you know, destructive energy. It's a very Marsy card, and again, Mars is in Gemini, so think about what that's activating in your chart. It's like they're when we're creating something or when we're initiating something, there is a coexistent breakdown that needs to take place. Like in order to create something, something else needs to be not necessarily destroyed, but maybe changed. I'm hearing like something is taking a new shape. There's definitely that emphasis of like transformational energy, like transitioning into something else. And that, I feel like that's connected to whatever this so-called project that I've been referring to is. And I don't necessarily want to take this down the route of like a romantic partnership, but I mean, we have imagery of the lovers here, and then lust right above it, and then you have the Tower. I'm almost wondering if like whatever this partnership is, if like you guys coming together creates some sort of unit, where the vision is able to be improved upon, and the vision has more force behind it, more power behind it, more potential, because it's not just you alone creating, it's, you know, this interplay between two parties, you know, and that fusion is creating something that's even better than maybe what you initially envisioned on your own. So maybe part of the message is like drawing from your own particular visions, of course, and drawing from your own process and creating as you see fit, while also honoring the input from whoever this is. And I keep looking at the Princess of Wands, like whoever that energy is, like allowing outside input to inform and help you improve upon. I think that's all I'm getting. When I reach the end of the readings, I can always tell when it's done, because instead of a singular thread of imagery unfolding, it starts to become very fragmented, and I could definitely start interpreting very different things from the cards that are on the table as they are, but I feel like the main message has come through, and hopefully it has something to offer you, something to mull over and help you navigate your way through whatever it is that you're going through. But I wish you well, Cancer. If you are fortunate enough to live near the ocean or some body of water, I think I would encourage some time outside and recharging your watery self near those bodies. And I'm not necessarily saying you should go swimming, because I don't know if I don't want to put anybody's safety at risk if you can't swim, but even being near water is something that has value and merit, especially for water signs. But reconnecting with that, and maybe even doing it when the moon is out. I know right now, because of where the moon is in her cycle, it's going to be difficult unless you're waking up really early, because she's rising in the morning before the sun does. But maybe in the next leg of the cycle, when she's waxing again and out a little bit earlier in the evening, taking some time at or near bodies of water, if you can manage it. Or just, taking in the moon's energy without water, like if you live out in the desert or something. But yeah, I think that's probably one of the main themes with your reading today, is like taking the time to recharge, to soak in the moon, so to speak, and invigorating yourself in spaces that have that sort of moony, nourishing, silvery, milky quality, and using that to fortify you for what's coming next. Wish you the best, Cancer.